Lack of resolve is what separates the number one and the number two. That statement can wrap up Cassandra with her not letting pride and ego get in the way of victory. She was the number one Claymore during her generation and is one of the strongest of the top 8 strongest Claymores of all time. With her nickname being the Dust Eater, a nickname given by Roxanne, who in my eyes is a superficial Claymore, but powerful nonetheless. She was resurrected by Day, the Day One organization Glazer, till he dies. But of course she didn't resurrect alone. The power of Priscilla's left arm resurrected Hysteria and Roxanne. And despite Cassandra dying by getting jumped by dozens of Claymores and ended up with 126 different wounds in her body, she was still physically and absolutely the healthiest in the nature of her body. As a Claymore, Cassandra had a short, pale, layered pixie cut that was wavy. I really like it. She also had an elf-like ears, similar to Irene and Ophelia, alongside silver eyes and a standard Claymore uniform. When Cassandra is awakened, she's an entirely different entity, with her constructing a large humanoid base which resembles Cassandra and making the Dust Eater nickname literal. With her feet rooted to the ground and, her leaning back, she has no arms or legs or head. It's really just tentacles to replace the support system. And the way of attacking, which has been shown to be incredibly fast. So fast, in fact, that she bit off Roxanne's left arm and part of her left torso. And she didn't even notice that Roxanne was one of the strongest Claymores at the time. When it comes to Cassandra's personality, she was never an attention seeker, right? She was self-conscious, modest, shy, and honestly easily embarrassed, even blushing and looking away when Roxanne complimented her. But just as much as she's shy, she's stubborn and refusing to help in battle, or refusing any help in battle, I might add. Not wanting people to see how she fights because it frightens other warriors because of how low to the ground she gets, and her nimbleness like a snake. It makes it seem as though she's eating dirt, and it hunts the nickname with her always wiping her cheek of dust after battle. Cassandra also has a strong sense of justice, with her avenging her dead friend that was killed by Roxanne. But we see when Cassandra transforms, she was very self-confident and way more vicious as she takes her time to break down and torment Roxanne, even licking Roxanne's face after devouring her limbs, and even mocking her, even when Roxanne had the advantage briefly and stepped on Cassandra. She replied by taking a bite out of her foot and saying, and I quote, "Still tastes worse than shit." Then she ended Roxanne, smirking, telling her essentially she's too soft to be number one. Now, when it comes to the juicy part, when it comes to her abilities and powers, at first, Cassandra didn't seem powerful at all compared to the other resurrected Claymores, alright? In fact, Cassandra, without her Dust Eater technique, she was as efficient as a normal Claymore. Cassandra hated showing people how she fought because it was embarrassing for her. But when she really started to feel a threat, when facing Nina's Shadows hunters, she demonstrated her technique for the first time by anchoring her feet to the ground and swinging her head like a pendulum, having her entire body build up a centrifugal force to swing low to the ground to attack the legs first, but then the arms in a fast slithering like motion. Because of the odd fighting form, it's embarrassing and terrifying to see with the Claymores she saved back in the day, only finding her terrifying and creepy. There was only one Claymore that didn't see Cassandra as a beast, and it was number 35. That Claymore was kind to Cassandra and really was the only one to fully accept her for who she is, and not just a scary weapon. But as soon as they were getting close, Roxanne decided to have number 35 killed to spite Cassandra, because she's a jealous bitch. Now, when it comes to Cassandra's resistance, that's actually quite something to note. According to Day, when Cassandra was getting jumped by the other Claymores, they was terrified of her resilience, with them taking hours to kill her, despite Cassandra having 126 different wounds to her body. Now, if that's literally not built different, I don't know what is built different. Now, being built different comes with different perks, and one of those perks is being an abyssal one, okay? Now, even when Cassandra is in her large form, she's still, by far, the strongest Claymore that was resurrected. This was shown when she was easily avoiding Roxanne attacks, showing she's even faster in her abyssal form despite the size. And on top of the fast tentacles, she has many heads on each tentacle, with teeth attached to the head that's strong enough to bite through an abyssal one such as Roxanne. When Cassandra was being controlled by Priscilla's mind, she was able to launch a deadly attack that caused her tentacles, that's a word salad, to attack in all directions. That's a blinding speed, okay? The attack is designed to kill them from the feet up, dismembering them piece by piece. Even when Cassandra was surrounded by awakened beings, Minnie was unable to react to Cassandra, let alone defend before being killed. Beheaded on top of that. Cassandra, overwhelming speed and power she had, and she also had incredible regenerative powers. That really makes it seem like she can't really take any real damage, even when getting jumped by the awakened beings. On top of Claire's group, the Seven Ghosts, Cassandra simply kept fighting, like the damage didn't even matter. And you see, now we're going to get into the juicy part, right? We talked about her appearance, we talked about her strength, right? We talked about her strongest form, but now we're going to talk about her life as a Claymore, okay? When Roxanne took interest in Cassandra, she was very curious to find out how Cassandra battled awakened beings, right? Until one day she hid her presence and secretly watched Cassandra battle, seeing her sway aggressively and attacking aggressively low, with Roxanne giving her the nickname of the Dust Eater that Cassandra never liked, okay? One day, however, Cassandra rescued a Claymore, number 35, from an awakened being using her Dust Eater ability, you know what I'm saying? The gold ability. Over time, the warrior would make attempts to be around Cassandra, but this really confusing her because this affection was foreign to her, on top of the fact that she saw her technique and didn't run or be scared at all. With the warrior admiring that when Cassandra wipes the dirt off her face, it reminds herself of her cat when she was a human. And just like that, Cassandra was developing a genuine connection with another Claymore. Not for battle, not for ego, not for pride, for genuine friendship. Unfortunately, we both know stories like this don't end well. And BFS chilling and happy, the rest of their lives, because we know that don't happen. Cassandra Fran was assigned to Roxanne's team to fight an awakened being. And on paper, it should be business as usual. But in the back of Cassandra's mind, she had this feeling, bro. She had this feeling that something was going to go wrong. And she even prayed for her safety, man. She prayed to Jesus. She said, please keep my friend safe, because Roxanne is treacherous, please. But we find out later, however, we find out that her friend became an awakened being's toy and was tormented and ripped to shreds until nothing but her head was left. But the crazy fact was no other warrior there was harmed. And Roxanne's squad, including herself, they didn't even help Cassandra's friend at all. They just let her die. Cassandra eventually kills the awakened being and later realizes that her friend was slaughtered on purpose. But when Cassandra got back to the organization, she used her Dust Eater ability to slash through Claymores, not defending herself, determined to get to Roxanne, right? She didn't care how many Claymores she slayed down. She needed to get to Roxanne. She was tunnel vision, like Kodak Black, tunnel vision. She was tunnel vision on Roxanne, and she was killing anybody that got in her way because that's how she felt. And I completely agree with my goal. You know what I'm saying? She got to do what she got to do. You feel me? Right? So when Cassandra tried to get to Roxanne, Cassandra loses her left arm. She loses her left leg and an eye, but still made it to Roxanne. However, Roxanne used a technique to stop Cassandra until she was killed by the other Claymores. Okay? Crazy work, y'all. Crazy work. She's trying to avenge her friend. Roxanne don't give a damn. Roxanne not only gonna have you jump, not only gonna have your friend kill, but actually gonna try to land a finishing blow. I mean, this is just straight up nasty work. So, after the resurrection, true to the organization's selfish core, they couldn't let a good warrior rest, as we see 3 of the strongest warriors being revived. 1, obviously Cassandra. Who else, right? 2, being Hysteria, and 3, being Roxanne. The organization wanted Claire and her group dead. They honestly gotten so strong that this was needed, to be frank. Okay, because Claire and their group been wild in the past 7 years. They've been wild and getting strong, fighting awakened beings, single digit strengths. I mean, they were wild, right? They need this, right? So they gotten so strong that we needed to see Cassandra face off against Audrey, Rachel, and Nina. It didn't surprise me that she began to be overwhelmed by the 3 single-digit Claymores in her base state. Like I told you, they've been training for 7 years. But without her technique so far, she was, at a little bit of a disadvantage. You feel me? But, you know what I'm saying? But when she pulled out her technique, she started cutting off limbs like a sous chef. Easy. Like goddamn Sukuna and his cleaving dismantle. I mean, just limbs flying all over the place, okay? And honestly, these girls are single digit for a reason. They kept coming after Cassandra, even after losing their limbs, one after one. But they kept getting cut down worse and worse and worse in a ruthless manner. Truth to the title of number 1. With the only way to have a slight chance of winning, Rotella from a distance used her sensory control to force Cassandra to miss her attacks. They had to get this girl to get in the back lines, get off the battlefield, use all your power, all your Yoki energy to try to make her miss her attacks. The only way we can win is if you... She's that powerful, y'all. She's that powerful. Even then, they were still struggling, right? So, until we see that Cassandra was standing over Audrey, blood everywhere, right? She's looking up, badass photo, right? She was remembering her past, and she was thinking back on how she died, and the countless wounds that she occurred, and the pain, and the memory causing her wounds to reopen, causing not only a badass panel, but the first of the 3 resurrected warriors to awaken in their abyssal form. You know the first thing Cassandra did after awakening was attack Roxanne. It was on sight. It was on sight, y'all. It was truly an on-site moment. Cassandra didn't even hold back, and she destroyed Roxanne, even taunting her by licking her and telling her she tasted like garbage until Roxanne was forced to transform as well, which is when the real fight begins. All right. The history between these two is just bitterness, 100% just petty energy. Ain't nothing but just toxicity condensed into black matter, just dense toxic matter. Okay. As we see, Cassandra was dodging every attack from Roxanne, clearly showing a difference in skill until Roxanne pulled out a new technique to gain the upper hand over Cassandra. But the problem for Roxanne was she couldn't regenerate her blades as quickly as Cassandra can recover. And since Cassandra knew this, she took her time and waited to capitalize. But lucky for Roxanne, the battle was interrupted briefly by Miriam and her enemy Hysteria. Cassandra was so in the zone, she started eating Hysteria, not knowing it wasn't Roxanne, because everybody's in their abyssal forms, okay? The only reason Cassandra knew it wasn't Roxanne was because of the taste of Hysteria. She tasted much better, okay? Now imagine that flex, right? Like, I'm fighting you. I'm so locked in to the point where another person intervenes in that fight. I'm punching them. I'm eating them. But I only know it's not you because they taste better than you. I mean, gosh, bro, how can you flex even better than this, man? But we do see Roxanne slip up by deciding to use her remaining blades on Miriam. And that caused Cassandra to capitalize on the situation to get the upper hand on Roxanne. And before eating her, she stated that not only she didn't think fast enough in tough situations, but her lack of resolve is what separates a number 2 and a number 1. Let's go. Now, when it comes to the 7 ghosts versus Cassandra, when it comes to Claire's group versus Cassandra. This is where things get heated, y'all. This is where things get heated. So you got to lock in, you got to tap in, all right? We see Cassandra confronting the squad, a precious group of the OGs, right? They attempt to save Cassandra from the trance. She is controlled by Priscilla, okay? But it didn't matter in the end, y'all, because even though Claire was able to defend herself and slice off parts of Cassandra's body, it was heavily because of Claire's quick sword. That quick sword saves Claire's ass so many times in this series, you can't even fucking count it, okay? We see that since the situation wasn't going in our group's favor, we see not one, not two, not three, not four, 5 high-ranking awakened beings was sent to jump Cassandra. Now we see a pattern here. We see even though she was getting jumped, not only was she defending herself, but her movements haven't even begun to slow down until they desperately try to get Cassandra out of her trance. But we find that Priscilla's influence was a lot stronger than they thought, because Cassandra ate Roxanne, who was also revived from the part of Priscilla. And then we see Cassandra prepare to unleash her full power. As we see, Priscilla's form clear as day, showing influence clear as day, unleashing Cassandra's Dust Eater ability, slaughtering all of the awakening beings except 3. 2 who were heavily injured, and 3rd is being on death's door. All joined the battle in their waking forms, and they all combined with Octavia's restraining Cassandra, and that allowed the other 3 awakening beings to tear Cassandra apart, with us seeing Priscilla's influence die. Now, you may think that things will get easier for our group, but that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is a harder fight that they just had, with us seeing Cassandra moving even faster with a clear head and takes on all of the awakening beings with them barely hanging on, with Lars being the first to go, with Cassandra ripping him in half, causing others to second guess themselves, but Cassandra kept moving towards Priscilla. Meanwhile, Priscilla was having a battle of her own, nearly died. We see her intercept Cassandra and actually started eating Cassandra to regain her strength, because she actually lost to Ritful. You know what I'm saying? Ritful, you know what I'm saying? She was putting in that work. You know what I'm saying? Well, she didn't lose to Ritful, but she lost enough that she had no energy left. You know what I'm saying? Like Claire and Rocky, you know, they came in, not ASAP Rocky, you know, Rocky. He came in, you know what I'm saying, and he stabbed her in the throat, and he was basically like, you know, like, this is over, right? So she's on death's door. What does Priscilla do when she's on death door? No, she's gonna go find Cassandra, because not only is Cassandra the strongest of the resurrected, but also Cassandra is a part of her, because they use her left arm to resurrect them. So of course, you know, she's on death's door. She's gonna go to Cassandra. She's gonna absorb Cassandra, but it's not gonna go like she thinks it's gonna go. And what I mean by it's not gonna go how she thinks it's gonna go is we're getting to the final duel, y'all. The final duel. As soon as we thought Cassandra was done, we already seen enough of her greatness. We see Teresa of the Faint Smile. Yes, sir. The Gojo of the Claymore verse. Yes, sir. The first #1 Claymore in history, and that Claymore took over Claire's body and literally called out Cassandra, knowing her consciousness was still alive inside Priscilla. Now you see, Teresa of the Faint Smile was almost like a Michael Jordan, right? She was a legend of the Claymore. It's the first #1 ever, right? Now, what do #1s do when they see another #1? They're like, listen, I want the fade. I want the fade. I want the smoke. I want all the smoke, right? So we see that after Teresa calls out Cassandra, who's inside of Priscilla's body, inside of her consciousness, we see Cassandra breaks out of Priscilla's body quite easily, and we see the 2 #1s in their respective generations clash. Now, Cassandra just in a badass panel, just easily just emerges from Priscilla like she never had any control at all. That's the will of the strongest Claymore, y'all. It's almost like it's almost like a better situation than when Kaguya fucking emerged from Madara in Naruto Shippuden, but that was a bullshit ploy. But this is not bullshit. Cassandra straight up using her power and her will to straight up force herself out of Priscilla. Now this is badass, y'all. Now this is where the real fight begins. All right. So when Cassandra breaks out of Priscilla's body quite easily, We see the two number ones in their respective generation class, and no one's surprised that the battle was so intense and high difficulty. Even the other Claymores were shocked and stunned at the level of skill, okay? The power, the speed, the technique used. Although, folks, all good things come to an end. All good things must come to an end. And it was emotional, y'all. We see Cassandra land an attack on Teresa, but loses her left arm in the process, with us finding out she's left-handed, of course. But that didn't stop Cassandra. But while Cassandra even thinks to herself she can't beat Teresa, with Teresa actually saying that may not be true. You have a lot more to give, Cassandra. But Cassandra's saying that may not be true. But she accepted her defeat from Teresa in an honorable way, with her death was clean and swift for my number one Claymore of all time, Cassandra, the Dust Eater.
Penny